from $6,000 to $66,000 a month.
When I tell people, how much I spent last month, and they're like, wow, it's a lot of money. I've had absolutely nothing, right? And I see the growth happening months on months, and I just can't believe it. And you show me how e-commerce works.
I think that's the secret why you look so young.
I'll be 46. We started making recipes at home.
Just put everything online.
I was able to really speed up the learning curve. You can reach out to so many people so quickly, literally overnight. It doesn't matter how good your product is.
They were skeptical. Facebook ads.
AI really plays a very, very big role in that. The ability to scale so much faster. For sure. For sure.
Here's John from Alchemy Affair. How did John manage to scale from $6,000 to $66,000? So today's episode is Podcast with Lenney. So we will hear out John. Hi, John.
Hi, Lenney. Thanks for having me.
So how does it feel to be able to scale from 6,000 to 66,000? What happened there?
I mean, it took a few steps for sure, right, to get there. But initially, I was like, okay, how does this work? The whole equation around e-commerce. And had to really scale from like 4 to 5 to 6 digits a month. Felt like a very high mountain to climb. And actually, by implementing very specific steps, I've seen the improvement months on months. And so, January will be our biggest month so far.
That's awesome. So that's 11x jump in terms of revenue in a matter of few months.
Correct.
So, I mean, in your honest opinion, right, how did I manage to help you in that process?
So a few things, right? So we met back in August,
yes,
right, for the first time, right? And I was like, not really sure how to run the business back then. I was more towards B2B and trying to leverage my network as, someone who's worked in corporates for 25 years almost. I was really going towards that. And then we had that meeting and you show me, how e-commerce works really. And I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, okay, that looks really interesting. How do we get there? So completely changed the whole strategy back in August and prepare for e-commerce with the actual launches in September. And then it's, all the things that are necessary to build an e-commerce brand, building credibility, building trust, all those things that we talked about that I then started to implement. And sure enough, as I was implementing every single aspect of that strategy and components, I saw the sales increasing week on week, months on months, and everything just working much, much harder.
So before you met me, right, did you have like an e-commerce store set up on Shopify? Maybe you can share experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've had absolutely nothing, right? So again, just a bit of background about myself very quickly, but I've been a marketing guy for almost 25 years in sales as well. I've worked for SMEs all the way to Fortune 200 companies, always doing digital marketing. But my expertise was more towards B2B service marketing. And this company is very much about B2C product marketing and e-commerce, obviously. So it's a completely different game, different approach. I was able to reuse some of the knowledge I have around branding, positioning, messaging, all of that. But everything else is something I've learned talking to you and some of your partners as well, along the way.
So it was quite crazy, right? I mean, my partner Zenon, he also advised on you in terms of strategy on how you grow your store from 6,000 to 66,000, right? I remember there was the time when we met at the Café and we were drawing out what you can do for your Facebook ad strategy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, then I was showing you my store because you asked like, what was my store doing? Then I show you Smile Fam, right? Correct. Then we were doing like 100,000 a month or something. Then I think you were like shocked. You were like, how is it possible to achieve this kind of revenue through an online store? I think you were quite shocked. And I told you some of the steps you needed to do to get things done. And I told you something funny. I told you that you didn't need to engage an agency like mine for a start because they were costly and you didn't need to pay so much money and you should start everything on yourself. But what really surprised me was you took action. And you just went ahead and do it. You went to search YouTube videos, right?
Yeah.
To see how to run Facebook ads, to do it. So that really blew my mind. Maybe share with us your journey. How did you first start this? Why Alchemy Affair? So you can share with the viewers about this story as well.
Alchemy Affair is a juice and wellness brand. And the main purpose really is to help people with things like weight loss and bloating, which are very common issues nowadays, especially in developed countries, and mostly because of our diet. It's very carbs heavy, it's very starch heavy, so it causes inflammation. And I was like seeing that, all around me. So I was really keen to do something in that space. And the whole juice product and wellness actually started almost 10 years ago. So I have 2 kids. My son is going to be 14 this year, my daughter 11. But 10 years ago, they were transitioning from being at home to going to the kindergarten. And the thing is, once you're in contact with so many kids, it's very common for them to get sick, right?
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, how do we solve this problem? How do we boost the immune system? And how do we help them grow properly? And after doing some research, I came across cold pressed juices. We started making recipes at home, right? So we experimented a little bit here and there until we got something that we liked. So something very vegetable heavy, because really, just the sugar and the sweetness doesn't do much, right? But the vegetable is really what helps. And so they started to drink every single day. And after 6 weeks, their immune system was way better. We didn't have to go to the GP every other month. And basically, they've been drinking that recipe every single day for almost the past 10 years. So do I. That's where the idea started when I was thinking about starting a company last year. I wanted to bring something related to wellness and juicing to Singapore and basically share with others the benefits of what I experienced together with my children.
I think that's the secret for you, right? That's why you look so young. Yeah, maybe you can tell the viewers how old are you? Because they can't guess your age. Because I couldn't guess your age at the start.
So I'll be 46 this year. And thanks
you look like
for the compliment.
Right? Yeah.
Right, thanks very much. I think it's a mix of a few things, but for sure I can say that nutrition and diet really, really helps. I think people today get confused with a lot of messages and content out there about what to eat and what to do and this and that and like some, magic formula and so on. But personally, I find that more often than not, the most important is just to go back to the basics.
Right.
Where we were meant to eat and drink in the first place, like thousands and thousands of years ago before all the processed, stuff started to surface.
Right.
And just going back to, every time you're confused, just go back to that, which is what we did. And yeah, it worked quite well.
So I remember I met you at a networking club, BNI.
Yes, correct.
And from there, you shared with me your ginger shot.
Yeah.
And I tried that. It was really strong, but it was good. Yeah. Then from there, I think you asked me how can you bring this product online or something? And that's where we set up our first meeting. And so maybe you can share with us what was the whole cafe story? How did you first started? Yeah.
Yes.
How did you first start this business? Where do you sell it? And how do you sell it?
So this is quite interesting. So for me, I'm always a very hands-on kind of person, right? And I felt very strongly that I didn't want to put in a market a product that I didn't fully understand and that I wouldn't consume and use myself, right? So I want something that is really approved kind of, by customers, obviously, but also I feel comfortable with. So what I did when I started the business, actually before I launched the business, I rented a kitchen in a cafe in Singapore. And I went there every single morning.
That was in Bukit Merah, right?
Yeah, we are around Bukit Merah area.
Yes.
Literally squeezing lemons and oranges every single day and some other stuff. The customers of the cafe, it's quite a few, coming every day. I did like free tasting and sampling, trying different recipes to really understand what people like and what they're ready to drink, but also understanding the kind of challenges they might face in everyday's life. And of course, weight loss, bloating and things like that come back very, very often. So I did this for 90 days. That was in Q2 last year. Until I was like, okay, I think I understand, the right kind of ingredients. Of course, I partner with people within BNI to source different types of ingredients, do a lot of R&D, work with, wellness specialists as well, and do a lot of research to bring the best ingredients together so we get the best functional benefits, but also from a taste point of view, it makes sense, right? Because it has to taste good as well. By June, I was like, okay, I think I got a few things here that work. I think I'm ready to go. And starting July is where I started to scale operations.
What were the challenges that you faced initially?
In developing recipes or scaling operations?
Maybe you can talk about developing and scaling both?
Yeah, okay. So developing is, there are so many fruits and vegetables and roots you can mix together, right? So we had to try, literally we tried every single type of oranges available in Singapore, and celery and ginger, and mixing all together. At some point we were even like, okay, let's take the most premium ingredients in every category, the best tasting oranges and whatever, all of that, and mix them together. And actually those never work as great. So from a taste point of view, it's overly sweet, so not so good, although a lot of people would like that. But more importantly, from a nutritional point of view, we felt that we were missing on a few things by not incorporating very specific ingredients like bentong ginger. Right? Bentong ginger, like most Singaporean would know that it's used in confinement, it's great for milk production, boosting immunity, very, very strong antioxidants. And I'm the only brand in Singapore actually using this ingredient as far as I know. And so I was like, yeah, we're not going to compromise on that. We really want those things. So the challenge around finding the right recipes was really because of so many options out there. So that's one thing, right? The challenge around scaling is I've never built a business, right? That's the first business I started, everything from scratch. And so trying to figure out logistics, fulfillment, production at scale, and all those things was quite challenging at first. Where I think I'm very lucky is that with the network of entrepreneurs I joined, that's how we met, right? Yes. That's how we met, basically. I was able to really speed up the learning curve and also have access to contacts and companies that were ready to help me scale and essentially set up the whole operation.
So everything was just in the right time where you have the right product, you have the right network, and there comes the right marketing as well. Yeah, yes. So from there, we were able to just put everything online, set up a store, and get everything going as well.
Correct.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So maybe you can share with us in terms of, let's say today there's someone that wants to do e-commerce, for example, but they are not sure on what to do next in terms of marketing, right? What do you think are some of the things that manage to help you to scale from the advice that Zidane and I give you, for example?
There's a lot of things to say there.
Yeah, maybe you can start with the foundation. Then you can.
I would say, I think there are a few key ingredients to success that I've learned from you guys and also doing it, over the past 6 months. I think the first thing that's really important is work on a product that somehow you love and you're passionate about. Because being an entrepreneur is super tough. It's a very difficult journey. There's problems coming every day. You have to solve problems all the time. I mean, you would know, you've done it long enough.
Of course.
If you don't love the product and you don't believe in the product, I think it's much harder to kind of stick to it. So I would say that is the requirement, kind of the foundational thing. On top of that, I think for e-commerce, there are ingredients that are really, really important. For instance, it's much easier to scale selling a product than selling a service. Right? So for e-commerce, products usually can move a lot faster, I would say. And then other things like being able to find a trusted partner for manufacturing. So in my case, I manufacture in Singapore. And it's good to have the people accessible straight away. So those are some of the key ingredients that I had to learn along the way. But there are many, many other things as well. And the key ingredient for success, I think it doesn't matter how good your product is. It doesn't matter how great your branding looks. If you don't have the right distribution strategy, it's not going to go very far.
I think a lot of people also have challenges cracking the online ads strategy. So I think you are the top 10% that managed to crack this, which is being able to find the right sales messaging, being able to identify the right target audience, and being able to find out what the pain points the customer have. I think that comes from your experience, from your interaction at the cafe.
Yes.
At Bukit Merah, right?
Yeah, right. That's
because you
why I
managed
started.
You speak to the customers, you understand what are the challenges that they face, what are the problems that they face, and you translate all of that into the sales page that you have, or the creatives that you have. Creatives basically means the videos that you have, with the influencers, testimonials, case studies that you have so far. But at the very start, when you first started this, I think there were people that gave you that they were skeptical that Facebook ads or online ads could work, right? What were the response they get when you asked about this topic?
I think a few things. So the Facebook and Meta ads is really what's powering a lot of businesses online, and it works really well. And the fact that you can have videos and static ads and different types of formats really helps with engagement overall. But because I'm so excited about it now, because I'm experiencing this myself, and I see the growth happening months on months, and I just can't believe it. It's going so fast. I think people sometimes have this perception that, so for instance, when I tell people, how much I spent last month, and they're like, wow, it's a lot of money. Or, the cost of acquisition for a new customer, wow, that's a lot of money. Then I always ask them the question, okay, it's a lot of money, but as compared to what? Right? Because as far as I'm concerned, if your return on investment is high enough, and for $1, let's say you make $3, the next thing you're going to want to do is to spend $10 to make 30, spend 100 to make 300, and then just kind of scale from there. As long as the return on investment makes sense, people shouldn't be concerned about spending money on things that actually work. And I think for e-commerce brands, the fastest way to grow, obviously, is advertising, right? You can reach out to so many people so quickly, literally overnight. But you're right, you need the right formula. And there's kind of a specific way of running ads, which I've learned, through you and Xenon and others. And if you don't know, you don't know.
Can you share with us what it would be like if you are still at Bukit Merah selling the juice with the current skill that you have right now? Can you imagine yourself in there?
One of the things I've learned and I've heard in the very early days, even before starting my company, I was talking to one of our common friends, and I asked her, what is the key to scaling a business? And she said, and also she works in F&B, right? And she said, one of the most important things for you to be able to scale in F&B is to be able to work less in the business and more on the business. And I realized very quickly that as long as I am in the kitchen making the product, there's no way I can scale. And so outsourcing to a trusted partner was the key to be able to bring the brand to the next level.
Right, because there's no way you can sell at your current scale right now.
No way.
Squeezing the juice,
there's no way.
Every single bit of juice, and just package it up and sell to the current volume that you have right now is impossible, right? Yeah,
it's impossible. And I will also say that, and I know a lot of owners kind of struggle with, F&B, I see that a lot, right? They struggle with the idea of not doing it themselves because they love their product very much. So do I. But I think the thing is, if you still want to make the product yourself, it might be marginally better or maybe equivalent depending on your manufacturing partner. But I think the thing that people kind of miss is that if you think you have a really good product, how many people can you reach out there if you're making it yourself? 10, 20, 50 a day, 100? If you outsource and you do it the right way, then you can reach out to thousands of people every day. And I think that's what some people sometimes might miss.
Yes.
In that journey.
The current rev is 66K a month. You didn't just crack the revenue, you cracked the model, which means you are now able to bring this up to maybe say a few $100,000 a month without any issues. Yeah, and the next podcast that I'll have you, probably you'll be doing way more than that. Then
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Then after that, you can buy me a meal from there.
I'll buy you a few.
Yeah. And I think you will hit for sure. I'll let the viewer know your story as well, right? How long have you been in Singapore? I
moved to Singapore in 2009, right? So I've been in Singapore. This year will be 17 years.
Wow, that's cool.
And really the motivation so I'm originally from France. I worked there for 7-8 years. Then I was at a point where I wanted to grow my career, and also I wanted to make more money, right? And in Europe, I think with the level of tax and all those things, it's quite difficult to really make money. And by the time you're done paying all the taxes and it's the end of the year, you don't have much left. And I was like, surely there's a better way to do this, and there's a better place, to do what I want to do. I have a friend who was in Singapore doing a exchange program when we were in business school, and he stayed here for 6 months, and then he came back to France and then told me about his experience, right? And I was like, wow, that looks really interesting. And so it took me a few years to really make that decision to move. But yeah, 2009, I moved without a job, without nothing. I just packed a luggage, packed my bag, and I moved here and started having interviews, right? Started having interviews, and I was like, what do I have to lose anyways? I go there, I give it a go. If I get a job, within a few months, I give myself like 6 months to get a job, right? If I get a job, then I can stay. It's fantastic. If I don't, then I can always go back to France and do other things, right? So I moved here. A lot of interviews, like very, very tough at the beginning, right? Because also, I got a job within like a couple of months. And then from there, kind of just, building on strengths to strengths to a point where I was like, I'm not going back anytime. And so I'm going to stay here. And so back in 2020, I converted to Singapore citizenship as well.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And why did you left your job and why did you decide to take on this path of being an entrepreneur? Because it's tough, right? To be an entrepreneur.
So I knew it was tough, but I didn't know how tough it would be. I think until you do it, you really have no idea, right? So again, almost 25 years in corporate, right? So SMEs in Europe, MNCs in Singapore. I work for US brands, global brands, and so on. And I think, to be honest, after a while, as you climb the corporate ladder, you're a little bit less in touch with what's happening on the ground. And also politics becomes a everyday thing. And I was burning out, quite frankly, after so long, right? I felt like decision-making was very slow. I felt that to get something done, it was so hard, it took so long. And so basically, I stopped that corporate career. My last day was a year ago, in January 25.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Feels like you're in business for like years now.
No, just been like 9 months actually.
Okay.
The company is 9 months old. But I knew I wanted to do something different. I knew I wanted to start a company. I think for me, life is all about experiences, having as many as possible. And you have the personal side, and then you have the professional side. And on the professional side, I felt that I was missing something really, really big by not being in that entrepreneur space. And so I was like thinking about what I could start, and obviously I started Alchemy Affair. And I no regrets, I was like, I didn't know back then how it would turn, but I'm very happy today.
How do you compare the marketing back in your days as compared to now?
I think the big difference is back in the days, you need a lot of meetings to get to a decision, rounds of approval, budget approval, federating teams around you, even sometimes across countries and regions around the world before you can start something. Today, I'm like, hey, I got this idea. I want to do that. I think that's going to work. But if it doesn't, it's fine. I'm going to give it a go. And you can execute within a day or two or a week.
Yes.
And then you can see the results straight away. And that I really, really like.
I remember I passed you some tools as well along the way to share with you like what are the things that you can do to enhance like graphics. How do you think these tools have helped you? And have you been using AI as well?
Yes.
To help you in your work or storm? You can share with us and the viewers like how using tools and AI has helped you in this journey.
So those tools, I think starting a company today is probably much easier than starting 10 years ago, I would say, because of technology and the tools available. Automation plays a big part in e-commerce. It really helps be close to your customer, engage with them repeatedly, and make sure you increase conversion for sales, right? But AI overall really shortened the time required for market research, for even content creation sometimes, scripting of ideas, scripting of videos, even doing research on direct and indirect competition and competitors. So AI really plays a very, very big role in that. I actually attended a training not so long ago, which you recommended, right?
How was the class?
It was great. It was
you learned about all the essential tools from AI, right?
Correct. So it was a full day course at SMU. It was about a week and a half ago, so very recently.
The trainer was really good, right?
The trainer is amazing.
I only recommend good things.
No, I for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Being able to see all the tools available in like a short amount of time, and also being able to use those tools on the spot during the course and see how this can apply to your brand and how you can speed things up was really amazing.
After this meeting, I'll show you even better stuff.
Looking forward to it.
I'll show you how you can build AI apps in hours. In the past, we used to hire like developers and they need to build like apps and you pay them like 20, 30K to build an MVP, right? But now you can do it in hours.
Correct.
Yeah, later I'll show you how I did it. I actually managed to create some apps. Yeah, then it's crazy. So give it a choice right now, John. Will you open a store, a physical outlet to sell the juice they have?
I get this question a lot.
Yeah.
Like almost or every week I get the question, are you going to open a shop and this and that? I think there's definitely values in having a physical location, right? Brand exposure, visibility, direct contact to customers and so on. But I think having an e-commerce brand gives you the ability to scale so much faster. That's one thing that I really, really love. The second thing I love about it is that it gives you the freedom to be anywhere you want, right? So I was like overseas last month. I take my laptop with me. My whole business runs basically online. I can work from anywhere, which is really nice. And the third thing is cost of operations.
Got it.
Right? Because, I mean, rent in Singapore is not cheap.
Yes.
Right? You want a physical location. It's going to be expensive. You're going to want staff, manpower, issues around manpower and so on. Really adds complexity to the business. And I felt that at the beginning, I wanted to remove that complexity. And so that's why when we discussed and you showed me how it's done, I was like, this makes complete sense. And I'm a very data-centric guy. So when you show me all the data, I was like, okay, I mean, that makes sense, like, let's give it a go. So a lot of benefits for doing it online versus...
What I did for Smile Fam was we were scaling, we were at more than 100,000 a month, right? So I was thinking, what can we do to push that figure up to hit higher rev? And the only way is to increase the trust and credibility. And also, in terms of the distribution model, you got to find a way to distribute more to the consumers. And I thought of the same question, whether we should set up a store offline, right? But then I look at the cost, I look at the traffic. So what I did was I actually went to walk around Suntec. I went to walk around the different malls. I actually observed how many customers actually walk in, walk out of a store to see the footfall, to see the traffic. And I realized something is there was a lot of traffic, but that doesn't lead to conversion.
Correct.
Yeah, which means you're looking at maybe like 1,000 people walking in the malls, but maybe there's only one person who comes in and purchase your stuff. And not only that, I think in most of the well-known malls right now, they have something called GTO, so they take like your sales as well, a percentage of your sales. Yeah. So you have the fixed cost and you have the percentage of your sales. And not only that, you also need to pay utilities, you need to pay
everything.
Your bills, you need to pay everything, correct? Yeah. And when they add up, that's one of the reasons why many F&B stores are closing right now in Singapore.
Correct.
Because of the high rental. But there's one way that I did differently. So I went to research and I went to think, how can we actually reduce the cost, right, of rental, but yet you still have it in the physical store? So actually, I have a strategy for you. Maybe I can share with the viewers. I mean, this is what I did for myself, right? With Smile Fam, I started to think, how can I do that? And I realized that I can actually put it in pharmacy stores. And that's where I reached out to Guardian. And guess what? It was really hard to reach out to them. So I asked around my friends, I asked around my partners, I asked around my entrepreneurs' friends, the network and everything, and nothing. They came out with nothing. They referred me to a lot of distributors, like the middleman, things like this. But they also took a fee before the pharmacy outlets, right? And maybe they take like 5-10%. And by the time it comes to you, you get like nothing. So I know that as a brand, we needed to have our own negotiation rights with the pharmacy outlets or whatsoever, or distributors, right? So I went direct to Guardian. I sent about 23 emails.
Wow.
Before I got, before they entertained me and say, okay, tell you what, come to our office and let's have a chat. And from there, I managed to convince them that we are number one in our category. I went down to Guardian, right, and I took a look. And my partners were saying that why not you just put like toothbrush in the stores? You just have that. But I walked around and I saw there were a lot of competition. Because in a typical pharmacy outlet, you will see like 5 to 6 electric toothbrush. But I was like, no, we got to stand out. And that's where I put the whitening kit there. And I put the whole sales messaging was just about whitening kit. And guess what? I'm the only store with the whitening kit in the whole outlet. Yeah, and that's what we can do with your juice as well, which we'll discuss later on with specific strategies on how you can deploy. And I call it the hybrid model. Which is you have the traffic online and you're getting sales, but you also have the offline sales. But the offline sales is not just there to help you to get revenue, but it's there to help you to build trust with the consumers.
Credibility.
For them to give you feedback, for them to see that, oh, you actually have a store.
Yeah.
The feeling of having a store without having a store.
Correct.
That's what I call it. Yeah, and that's a trick to, counter this like high rental situation that we have in Singapore when it comes to product marketing.
I came across your product actually. I was working a few weeks ago. I think it was Wisma Atria.
Oh, yes.
And I went to garden there, and I was like, as I was walking in, I was like, that brand looks familiar. I got closer, and I was like, that's Lenney. All right, yes, here we go. I know you have like some nice prime locations in Singapore, but yeah, the physical presence, I think, really helps with credibility. I think in the eyes of the consumer also helps with understanding the brand is more established locally and also more trusted by customers. I mean, if a company like Guardian is willing to have your products there, it means a certain level of quality as well.
Yeah, so now we are in 14 different outlets. We have Ion Orchard, we have Marina Bay Sands, Raffles City, a few centers will actually help you scale, from 6 to 66K.
I think the first thing would be understanding e-commerce and how things work and the necessary steps for scaling a business, which we talked about during this podcast, right? So I think that is the one thing that's really important. The second thing is having the right network and people around you that can keep you honest, that can guide you, that can show you the different steps to go from A to B to C to D and, eventually to the moon, right? That's the idea. And then the last thing is to not be afraid to try and fail. Again, I'm very data focused in my approach. So as long as the data makes sense, I'm always keen to explore, which is what I've learned from you as well, right? Looking at the data and making sense of it. And so I think that is the other ingredient is like, if you see something that works, just put more money into it and then grow, basically. But psychologically, I think for a lot of people, it can be a bit scary and frightening, right, to sometimes take those steps. But, as long as it makes sense, I think people should go for it.
I think the biggest thing is that with everything online right now, you can access all the data, all the analytics,
Correct.
and you can pinpoint down to the exact data on what works or what doesn't work. Things like this. Thank you so much, John. It's great having you on this podcast. This is my first ever podcast. I call it Podcast with Lenney. I don't know what it's going to evolve to in the future, but it's great having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you very much, Lenney.
Thank you.
Thank you.